So, good morning. I wanted to show you this ad as a paid subscriber to the Response Results newsletter, and thank you again for being a paid subscriber. Now, this ad was written by Louis Engel, and he, according to the research that I've done, was at Merrill Lynch for about 2 years when he wrote this ad. This is a quintessential example of long-form copy. Over 6,000 words, I think. And according to Info Marketing Blog, this, what everybody ought to know about the stock and bond business, got over 10,000 replies, right? And the reason why you can knock it off is what everybody ought to know about copywriting, right? What everybody ought to know about the stock and bond business. You could even, so look at like how they're, look at the questions that they're asking here. Can I go get more closer in? But you can kind of see that he's basically going in here and answering a bunch of questions that the audience has about what are stocks, what are bonds, right? I kind of went in and looked up some of these over here. Let me see. Yeah, so like what are stocks? See if I can pull this up and make it a little bigger for you here. Yeah. So, what is the stock market, right? And it answers the question. So it's really a big piece of just kind of reason why advertising, okay? Where he's educating the market before he sells them something and before he gives them an opportunity. I think it was an opportunity to invest with Merrill Lynch or to go into a book or some kind of product. You'll see right here down at the bottom that there is a reply device for them to send for something or to request more information, probably about investing with Merrill Lynch, right? But this whole thing could be, like what everybody ought to know about writing killer headlines, right? What everybody ought to know about getting sponsors for their MLM program, what everybody ought to know about the oil and gas business and how to invest in it, right? What everybody ought to know about selling, what everybody ought to know about organic makeup and where to find the best makeup in the world, right? So you see how, where to find the best makeup in the world, you can have like that subhead right here, right? If you wanted to see this little subhead in this area right here. And again, you don't have to write a 6,000 word ad like this, right? It can be 1,000 words. It can be 500 words, right? But the cool thing is like, you notice how he's kind of going down the line and kind of just saying like, some plain talk about an often complicated business, right? Or what does it say? It says, some plain talk about a simple business that often sounds complicated. And so he's just breaking it down for these people. Like, this is what this is about. And this is how you can look at it, right? And let's see if I pulled this up again. Let me just save this so I have it for you guys. I'm just looking more. Let's see. Let's click on this. See if we can find a bigger swipe file here. But you can just see how these are the basic benefits of this ad, right? And let me just pull this up here for you because I know I've got it. Yeah, so this is the larger version, and this is over at swiped.co. So I'll give you these links in the newsletter. But basically, if you look here, what everybody has to know about the stock and bond business. So the templated ad is pretty self-explanatory, right? Some plain talk about a simple business that often sounds or looks complicated. And like, why are we sending you this information, right? Why are we, and I can kind of, so the problem with some of these old ads is you kind of, to get the actual text of what they say, I'm on my Mac here, but basically you kind of have to go in and do like little screenshots, and then kind of get the text out of it, But as you can see right here, it's just they're breaking down each part of the letter, right? Each part of the letter is just really answering questions, right? What are stocks? What are bonds? How do you invest in them, right? And again, do you have to go into this much detail? You can go into as much detail as you want. It depends on like what they're asking them to do at the end, right? So if it's just send for a free report, you don't have to go overboard in how much information you give them, but you do want to, as David Ogilvy said, have your information be valuable. Have your information be valuable. David Ogilvy, he had these house ads that he ran to get clients for his advertising agency. And as you can see, they're much shorter than that 6,500 word, what everybody ought to know about the stock and bond business. But what he's doing is he's making his advertising valuable. So if this was an email, it would be full of content that they actually go use, right? If this was an ad, it would be full of content that would educate and entertain them and give them, how to write advertising that sells. What's this one say? How can a Detroit agency be big and small at the same time? That's a little too much about them, I would think. How to create industrial advertising that sells, right? So he's basically running this to different segments of the business community and saying like, listen, these are all the things we've learned about industrial advertising. These are all the things we've learned about general advertising. And then at the end, like, hey, if you want us to do this for you, you should call us, right? And that's the same thing that they're doing. There's the same thing that they're doing here, right? This is the same thing that they're doing with what everybody ought to know about the stock and bond business. So I don't think you necessarily have to know exactly what this ad says in total, nor would you want to, right? But I'll see if I can, so then like you look at this one right here, this is probably the biggest headline other than the headline and subhead. So this is the part that they kind of want you to pay attention to once you've read most of this ad or maybe are skimming the ad, right? So they're offering to do these things, and then we can kind of go in and see what these things are, right? So just give me a second to pull this up. Okay. So how to buy and sell securities. And this little section is one that, they could have started the whole ad with this if you kind of knew who Merrill Lynch was. But if it was going to a really cold audience, the trick is like, how can I show them that I know, a skeptical audience? How can I show them that they can know, like, and trust me, right? How can I show them that I'm positioning this as something that is valuable and they would want to take with them out of the newspaper at the time, right? Because this ran in the newspapers. In the New York Times, actually. How can I position myself as an expert in their eyes and give them enough information where their curiosity and mystery is ignited, and then they're in this section, which is how to buy and sell securities, and then the next portion of it is get in touch with us. Let's see what this section says. I got to get close to it, but this isn't the complete story of how to buy stocks and bonds. Of course, that would take volumes. All we have tried to do here is set down answers to some of the most common questions that are asked us, and we have excluded a lot of things that many people are curious about, but have little relation to a program of prudent investment for most people. So we've taken out all the boring stuff, right? And then, maybe you'd like to know. They're basically, for lack of space, we have not defined what a whole host of financial terms are that you're most likely to encounter when you begin investigating various companies to invest in, right? These terms are detailed in a booklet called How to Invest, which we have just published, right? It's a guide for all security owners. This new publication involves in greater detail the story of how the stock and bond business works. And then basically, like, we'd be glad to send you a copy of it. Okay. So this whole thing is just an advertisement for their book, How the Stock and Bond Business Works. And that's probably just a disguised advertisement, right? So again, hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, please leave me a comment below. It really helps me to know that I'm on the right track with making this stuff for you guys and making sure you're on the right place. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon.